Okay, it's 7 o'clock, and we'll call the meeting of the Tuesday, July 9th, Wheaton Town Board meeting to order. And we'll rise and say the pledge of allegiance in a moment of silence for service. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Laura Hayden.
Here.
Bud Beckwith. Wayne Miller.
Yes.
Alice Drosky.
Here.
Ken Books.
Here.
Mark Blaskowski.
Here. Approval of the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the Tuesday, July 9th, 2019 Town of Wheaton Board Meeting Agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Clerk's report. We got the check register going around and the minutes from the past meeting. Hopefully I don't have the treasurer's.
Yes?
Hopefully I don't have that on here.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe for that.
How did that ever get off of it?
The treasurer's report's down further, 7.
The under
Under
7.
committees and reports.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's under committees and reports, that's what it is. Got it somewhere.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the board meeting minutes from June 11th, 2019.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the meeting minutes from June. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Anybody has any questions about any of the checks that registers around there? Otherwise we'll file that with the clerk. Public comments.
I'm Carol Norman.
Could you?
I need to speak over here.
Thank you.
I'm Carol Rorman, R-O-H-R-M-A-N. My address is 6658 72nd Street, Chippewa Falls, 54729. I am here on the behalf of the Valley View neighborhood to speak about the paving of the cul-de-sacs on 67th Avenue and 72nd Street. First of all, I want to thank, I believe it was Alice, for coming into our neighborhood and talking with our neighbors and letting us know that our cul-de-sacs were going to be paved.
I just was there to look and observe, and Dan Booz was out, and I
Yes.
just stopped and asked him if he mowed the cul-de-sac there and about those 3 trees, the maple trees that were there, and that's, oh, yeah, he was outside, and then
Okay.
I talked with him.
Well, I want to thank you for stopping and checking on our cul-de-sacs. We understand why you want to pave our cul-de-sacs with the ease of the plowing. We understand your reasons. However, it is our wish to have our cul-de-sacs, the trees left in our cul-de-sacs. Please consider leaving our trees. If we could maybe even compromise the neighborhood, the neighbors on the end of 67th Street, those are all wild trees. They were not planted, they do not maintain that cul-de-sac. The 4 lots on the end of 72nd Street have planted 3 ornamental maple trees. We have cared for them for about the past 5-6 years. We maintain and mow that cul-de-sac. And we would really like you to consider leaving our 3 trees there. We have time and money invested in them. If you do vote to pave both cul-de-sacs, we ask for time to try to remove those trees. If you could contact either me or somebody in our development with a time frame so that we can try to get those trees out of there. I do have a picture tells 1,000 words, if you would like to see the 3 ornamental trees in our cul-de-sac and how we maintain our cul-de-sac. I would be more than happy to share that picture with you. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you for considering leaving our cul-de-sacs. I know to you, maybe, you know, we're standing in different shoes. To you, it might be just 3 trees removed. To us in our neighborhood, it symbolizes coming home after long days of hard work, and looking at the beauty of what we've all done in that cul-de-sac. Thank you.
You said you had a picture of that?
I do.
Could you give it to Laura and she can put it on the overhead for us, please?
I will say that when I was talking to Mr. Booth, I had told him that an option would be for you to, you know, for the cul-de-sac and for the neighbors who planted those 3 trees to come and get them out of there. And he said that would, you know, you're saying that is an option. They're small enough that they could be taken out and transplanted. When you're talking about at the end of 67th Avenue with those big wild trees, those are mature trees. It would be very difficult to move
Yes,
any of
and
those.
those neighborhoods the neighbors on the other cul-de-sac, they completely, totally understand that. Their situation is a little different than ours. We have planted and we have maintained our
Right.
cul-de-sac. Theirs is more wild.
But those trees in your cul-de-sac are young enough to be moved.
Are the guys having any trouble?
Yes, they
with
are.
that?
Well,
Yes,
we'll get into the
Yeah.
discussion.
Yes, they are, Wheaton.
We'll get into the discussion.
Yes,
when we
they are.
get to the-
See, they're young enough to be moved.
Mhm.
I mean, they are, this one's probably 12 feet tall. I mean, they're fairly big.
Yeah, they got about a 3-4 inch,
Yeah.
they're 4 inch,
They're pretty good size.
Oh, yeah.
about a 4 inch diameter.
But they
Four.
could be moved. They could be moved if they had to be moved, if that was, you know, what it came down to, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know what that takes.
Well, I don't know either, but we wouldn't even agree with that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm, thank you.
Okay.
Can I,
you.
Yep,
are
Yeah.
you done?
thanks.
Thank
Just wanted
you.
to see what they look like, thank you. Go ahead, Tom. Sorry, Mark.
No, that's great.
My name is Tom Pierkey. I live at 7303 67th Avenue in Wheaton.
Can you spell your last name for me?
It's BJERKE. And I'm here tonight also to speak for the Valley View Association, or a group of people. There's 20 lots there, and there are 16 families in there. First of all, I want to thank the board for recognizing the problems we've had with our road. It's been quite a sojourn, and this last winter the road just completely blew up, was my phraseology. And thank you all for recognizing the need to get that fixed. And I kind of scratched my head when they came in and they laid the 3 inches of road base over the solid blacktop, and I thought, I'm not sure how that's gonna work. Of course, then they came in and ground it all up, and I thought, okay, now I know, because now you know, at least they did put the 3 inches down, so that was pretty clever to do it that way. I am also here to speak about asking that the town consider not paving those cul-de-sacs completely. It's kind of a big blacktop lollipop at the end of the roadways there. If it gets filled in and paved. It is a rural setting. The only road people that go back there are the residents. It's not like it's a well-traveled area like T or N or X. And so I do know that Roger has been back there and plowed, and, you know, maybe discussion, if it's really that difficult to plow or not, but, I do know that there's been some concessions offered as far as, 67 cul-de-sac, pave it if you want to, but try to save the 72nd Street cul-de-sac. But frankly, I'd like to see them both saved if you can, because it really does add. If you drive in there, you'll see it really kind of adds to the truly rural setting of that neighborhood. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Anyone else have any comments?
I do, I was just wondering how the federal fuel tax refund was going, Scott?
Well, last year we filed for federal fuel tax refund for all the gallons of diesel fuel that the town purchased last year. Just so everybody knows, as a township, we are exempt from paying any federal fuel tax. We buy all of our fuel from 29 Pines. And when I filed that return, it saved the town $1,600 back on our fuel costs from last year. And then we also filed for the first quarter of this year. That's going to yield us about $975 back on tax that was purchased in the first quarter. Plus, we can also get back the state portion of the tax that we paid for all the fuel that went into the off-road equipment, the tractors, the grader, and the unloader. And that's going to yield us about $500 back on those purchases as well. So roughly $3,000 we're going to be able to apply to our expense towards this year's fuel cost. And because of all the plowing that we did February and March, we can actually use that money to offset that, which brings us back to more of a normal level. That was a good victory for the town to get that money back for us.
That was never filed for before, was it?
Something we have never done before.
Thank you, Scott.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
Bet.
Anything else? Anybody want to bring up? Okay, then we're gonna move on to committee reports. Treasurer's report, so we've got the, you guys have got the balances here now. Anybody have any questions on any of that? We'll be getting, so we're gonna be getting some payments here in August, I think, from the state, and then we get them again, get some more stuff back later in November and December, I think.
The tax settlement, I believe, will come in August
Yeah,
from everything that was collected through the end of July.
yeah. So, we'll have a few more things going into that, but it looks like everything on the budget is going fairly well. So, the other thing I wanna get each month is to actually have our budget printed out.
Okay.
So I wanna get that along with this balance sheet to have the actual budget and where we are on percentages and stuff of each of the line items.
You want me to print it now? We can look at it now, if you want to.
Well, we can do that. We'll start doing that this coming month, because then we're gonna have August, September, and October that will be, everybody can be looking at the same thing and see what's going on, so that in October, we're really actually setting a good budget, you know, what we're really spending, the rates we're spending at, that kind of thing. So I think if we start that next month, we'll be good. Any comments, anything on the treasurer's report? If not, we'll file it with the clerk. Fire board report.
Fire board met June 18th at the Lafayette Station. And at 7 o'clock, there was a few people there. First thing they discussed was they wanted to discuss and act on the budget options. And what they want to do is they want to combine the fire right now it's figured for two budgets, the fire part and the EMS part. They wanna combine them all into one big budget. And I asked them why, and they said, well, just make it easier, and I says, well, you know, I'm with the understanding that, the fire is doing good, the EMS is running a little short, and, they're transferring a little money over there, and I think they should be held responsible for their own division and their own budget, instead of just overspending it. So, I told them that, at that point, I said, I could not vote on this without running it past our town board, because we send two separate checks for that. And doing that, it's gotta be taken up with the board and done. So we'll be discussing that later. So that was, Howard followed suit on that, so. And then they had, fire district burning regulations to approve, and that was really nothing, I mean, out of line on that, and that was approved.
What'd they approve? What?
It's just what the state has, Mark. I thought I brought a copy of it, and I didn't tonight, I'm sorry. I'll have to get you a
But
copy
it
of that.
doesn't apply to Wheaton.
Well, it's for the whole district, it's like, they don't want any, burning on Sundays.
Yeah, that doesn't apply to Wheaton.
Okay, well, I voted for it, it didn't seem out of line. And campfires, like, you know, they
Yeah,
said, well,
we have
midnight.
to have an ordinance to do that, and we're not doing that.
Okay, all right,
We're not,
I was
we
unaware
don't
of
need
that.
we don't need a burning ordinance until we have trouble. We're not getting a burning, if we get trouble, if people get too close together and we start having problems between neighbors, we'll get a burning ordinance. But right now, they keep trying to push this. These guys, they've been trying this trick for years to get somebody to say, yeah, Wheaton will go along with you. And I can tell you right now that Howard did go along with them and passed an ordinance in the township. And after they passed it, they realized what they did, and they're not happy. They are actually trying to get rid of that ordinance now, because it gives the people in Hadley the authority to come out and find people in Wheaton. And I
Oh,
don't-
is that, okay, I
I'm
wasn't
not-
aware of that.
There's no way I will, now, everybody else might agree to it and it'll pass, but I can tell you, I will never agree to that, ever. I won't, personally, I mean, I'll vote against that every time. Now, the rest of the
Okay.
board can vote for it, and it'll pass.
Well, they did vote that night, that
Yeah.
it was approved, so.
Yeah.
I wish I'd known that ahead of
Yeah,
time.
yeah, no, that's fine, that's fine. We'll just make sure that they know that the town of Wheaton, they are not passing ordinances for the town of Wheaton. And they are not going to come out here and fine if anybody's going to do that, it's going to be the town board deciding
Okay.
what's going on, not the people
Sounds
from
good.
Alley.
And then another thing they had two hardship cases, and, the one was, they wanted to excuse a $2,700 bill. It was for, it was a 2-year-old bill, the gentleman had died. It was a transfer, and it wasn't a local transfer either. The guy died, the insurance wouldn't pay anymore. The wife was, actually living on poverty level, so we did prove that one to excuse it. The second one was a 19-year-old kid that only owed $469.20 yet. And I said, well, let's make him, I don't wanna be the hard ass, but let's make him responsible. He's 19 years old. He can pay $10, $20 a month until it's paid off. And they said, well, in fact, they did deny that one. And Staber did stay with me on that one. I told him, I said, if nothing else, call him up. Tell him, hey, if you pay $250 of it in the next 15 days, we'll excuse the other $250, you know? Be done with it. At least you get something out of it. So that's the way that went. And basically, that was about it for that meeting.
Okay. Wait, you had something else? You wanna bring that up?
Well, I was going to do it under, pros and cons of the Wheatons.
Oh, okay, that's good, that's good, that's good. Okay, any other questions or anything for Wayne?
Yep.
You good? Okay, moving on then. Town parks.
You want to do plan commission first? Or
Hmm?
you want to do the plan commission first?
Oh, Jesus, I can't even. Plan commission, I'm trying to.
I don't want to
get
jump
done
in
with
line.
this. Sorry, Alice.
The planning commission met on July 2nd, 2019. Public comment was Carolyn Kaiser spoke to us about an interest in land conservation and environment at the county level. And she said there are several issues that the county is facing with the CAFO, sand mines, and safe groundwater. I did a report and I advised that Patrick Belfast of Cedar Corp was present tonight to review the township comp plan. I also said that we had approved the requests of Foswick and DOS and the Peg and Cod at last month's board meeting. I will be at the Wheaton Town Hall from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. with water kits this Saturday that you can purchase for $8. I just made that known to the Wheaton Planning Commission members. Our new business was Ms. Kim Haas was there for 3-acre lots on 30th Avenue east of 30th Street. And we approved that. The motion carried 7-0. And Mark Abramovich wanted to rezone from ag to residential 1 on County X. He was seeking a rezone from ag to residential 1 for setbacks for an addition to his building. He had poured a concrete pad for the addition, but it falls within the 15-foot setback needed in the ag zone. He told the Wheaton Planning Commission the concrete sits 12 feet from the property line. We discussed the rezone request and noted that a legitimate reason is required to request a variance. The Wheaton Planning Commission didn't want to create a precedence of granting rezoning requests from ag to residential every time a request was made. So on a roll call vote, the motion failed 7-0. Also, Patrick Belfast was there from Cedar Corp. We reviewed the current comp plan and covered the first 5 chapters. He made notes of the points that were raised by the Wheaton Planning Commission members. He shared his observations of the comp plan and advised the members where he suggested the changes, and he will be attending our monthly meetings. I also, after our meeting, I heard from him, and I just want to say publicly that he thought that the committee really did a great job, and he thought that we would get done quicker than he assumed we would in a year's time, because we'd already gotten the questionnaire done and we've already gone through the comp plan. So I would really like to thank Scott Morris, Dale Hayden, Tom Piercy, Mike McGinley, Gary Bodenberg, and Chuck Wood for doing all the hard work that they're doing on that Wheaton comprehensive plan that's due, because I believe, and he believes, we're gonna get done well before the year is up.
That's good.
So we adjourned at 8:50, and these meeting notes have not yet been approved. Any questions?
You're gonna be at that, you were saying that you're gonna be, so the newsletter, just so you know, the newsletter, they said it went out today.
Oh, good.
So hopefully that'll be to everybody before the 13th.
Right,
It should be.
we're gonna talk about the update anyway, so I'll talk a little bit more about it then.
Yes, okay.
Good.
Now the parks.
Okay, so our meeting was Tuesday, June 25th. No public comments. We did do our park spring tour, as the last 2 meetings we had were rained out. So went around, looked at some of the maintenance items that we have on our list to get addressed, just to kind of put a picture with it. We discussed the boat landing project as it relates to the boat launch. We're able to get confirmation that the distance or the length of the concrete that would be used for the launch will be enough, will be far enough in the river to handle what we expect for the different types of boats that would use the launch. So I'll be proceeding with getting some additional bids for that concrete work. Now that we've kind of got a set of plans locked in on what we want to do and the amount of concrete, so. Park security, Krista Computers did get the proof of concept camera installed, and it's been up since the last week of June, so we'll discuss a little bit more when we get down into new business. The other item that we're looking on as it relates to using like a game camera down at the boat landing and then over in the park expansion, just because there's no availability of power for those. So we're looking at a couple different options, just based on some of the things that have occurred. We've had some vandalism down in the park with them taking hand sanitizer out of the porta potties and then busting the machines, and we had a truck get launched into the Chippewa River off of the down at the boat landing. So we're looking at some different options there to hopefully curb some of these things. The other items we've been looking at, we did get the 2 sprinkler heads on the one field moved out to the grass area, and that seems to be working out really well. It avoids the sprinkler heads from getting damaged when you grade the field. And then we're looking at one other. Taking zone 5 and reallocating that to the area between the 2 fields. It sees a lot of foot traffic, and so it takes a pretty good beating during the peak park usage time frame. So we've got a couple options, and discussing with Nate here recently, he brought up a couple other items about us bringing it down a little bit farther, just due to how some of that grass took a pretty good beating. So Parks Commission will take a look at that at our next meeting. And then park rentals are moving right along. And then in fact I'm already getting contacted for 2020 rentals. So spreading like wildfire. And then the last item we had, the town property firewood policy. So this one is we're looking at, from time to time, questions come up, trees fall down in the park or on different town property, how do you handle that? And so we're looking at, do we establish a policy? We're looking at what some other townships, different areas are using, and seeing if that's something that we should put in place. The question does come up quite a few times, and right now, our stance is that basically if if a tree falls or whatnot, it's the town guys that take care of it, and our meeting was adjourned at 9:42.
Alrighty, thank you. Report of the committee to investigate pros and cons of Wheaton Fire Department.
We had 2 meetings since the last board meeting. It was June 13th and June 27th. The guys have been real cooperative of meeting every 2 weeks, because we realize we're limited on the time, and we have to try to cover as much as possible.
And who all is on your committee there? So we got members.
Yeah, we got Mark Bruner, we got Eugene Gutch, myself as chair, we got Scott Morris, we got Andrew Wood, and advisors is Adam Blaskowski, Dean Gullickson. Adam is the chief for Wheaton, Gullickson is the Chippewa County supervisor, and Les Schaefer is the fire chief for the city of Elk Mount, is why I got them for advisors. They've been really good, showing up every time and doing a great job. A lot of good questions. When we met on the 13th, we had invited the fire district. It was brought up at our meeting at the end of May to invite them to get the questions out of them that we wanted to first. And they turned around and said, well, okay, we'd like you to make us a list of questions so we can get the materials that we feel you'll need, which they did. They did give us a packet. We got them, and then we provided the list to them. I presented it to them we comprised a list of 12 questions for the chiefs, and I handed them to them personally at the Chippewa Fire Protection District Board meeting on June 18th. And invited the chiefs and the board members to attend. I even said, if you want to bring your lawyer, if you're uncomfortable, bring him too, which they did. 2 of the board members did come, and somebody did show up from Howard that just sat to the side. And they answered our questions, and we're gonna be hashing them over at tomorrow night's meeting. We have a meeting again tomorrow night, and we'll be hashing over that material that they gave us before we call anybody else in. We did speak to some available firefighters and asked their opinion and feelings on the district and any concerns that they might have. And that was interesting, which we're keeping that in the back of our minds. We're all trying to keep a very open mind about this. And then on June 27th, the materials were presented to us from the committee and from the chiefs and the 2 board members that attended and answered our questions. So for tomorrow night's meeting, I got it set up. We got Stacy Miller coming in from the insurance company to give us an idea of how much it would cost us. You know, and he said it's going to be a ballpark figure, and I said we realize that, you know, it depending on what kind of equipment we'd have if we did get out and what it would do. He's also going to speak briefly. I told him he's got a half hour on homeowners insurance, you know, and tell us what he can tell us on that. And he said great. And then the balance of our meeting will be, we're going to set up a list of everything we want to cover yet, and I'll be having to get a hold of the people, and which is going to be, I believe, the next people I'm going to bring in is the EMS people from Eau Claire and Chippewa. I was going to try to get the chiefs from possibly, trying to think, for mutual aid, and some guys thought it would be too much to cover in one night for 2 hours, which it is. So we'll probably be planning that the next meeting after that. So that's where we stand right now. I think we're doing great, and I appreciate the gentlemen I have on that committee. They're doing an outstanding job, and without any complaints, they show. And they're good about asking questions and looking the stuff over.
If you can keep an insurance agent like Stacy Miller down to half an hour, you're doing good.
I told him, at first I told him he had 15, 20 minutes, and then he says, well, he says, depends on how many questions they got. He said, I can handle the homeowners part too if you want, so you don't have to bring anybody else in. And I says, okay, Stacy, you got a half hour, and at the end of the half hour, I'm gonna cut you off. And he said, okay.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he laughed about it.
There's something I just want to give you. This is updates coming to Wisconsin firefighter training standards. And
Okay.
I'm sure that Adam Blaskowski and Mark know all about it. It just talks about 80% of Wisconsin firefighters, or, you know, fire departments are made up of volunteer firefighters. And they want to do, the state of Wisconsin wants to come in, set at the federal level. So they're going to have, it says, it will also require drivers to go through 30 hours of additional training to drive and operate fire trucks, and more classes that they're going to have to take at CBTC. So I'm just saying that here's something else you'll want to look at. As difficult as it is now to get volunteer firefighters, now it's going to even be, I think, more difficult.
Yep.
It's just going to put even more burden, you know, and make it harder for volunteers. You know about this, of course, right?
Yes.
Yeah, see.
And
You might
what's
wanna know.
really,
Thank you.
It's too
you
bad.
know, the
Yes.
percentage of our
It's too
calls
bad.
are, 10% of our calls are fire and 90% are traffic crashes, which that has nothing to do with it.
Nothing.
And so we need people for the traffic crashes and the medical. Traffic crash and medical is what, 80 to 90% of our calls? And they want some people, okay, you can't even help with that because you're not, you can't be on what they're saying now is you can't be on the fire department unless you have all paid the CVTC and whatever other group that's making money off of training, their money, and until you pay them their money, you can't help. Well, that's just, I guess I don't see any fires that we left burning in the past 24 years. I don't remember of any. I'm sure, when I left, I'm sure the fire wasn't still burning. I guarantee you that we put every one of them fires out, and we didn't go through all of this. We went through training, but not all of this, so it's just
Too bad.
silliness,
It is
just silliness.
And that's one of the things that we've heard.
I'm not done with them yet. I do know people at the state level.
And that's one thing that I've gotten to understand from some of the firefighters that are there that have found people that were willing to volunteer. And one of the things they have to do is go in front of the head chief. And for some reason, when they get done talking to him, they aren't interested anymore because he's requiring so much education in such a certain period of time, where Elk Mound basically has got the same education, but they're allowing an 18-month period of time to do it in, not a year or 9 months or whatever. And these are volunteers, and they have family lives too that they have to live. And I think you'll agree with that one, won't you, Bill? You were on the fire department at one time, so it took a lot of times. So,
And so,
is there any other questions? Okay.
website updates, changes and additions that the board would like. I don't know, it looks like it's staying updated pretty good. We want to keep getting it out there that we do have a website. The newsletter will be out. It mentions it like 3 or 4 times again, so people can look at the website and see what's going on. We're keeping things on there. We're putting all the agendas on. We're putting the meeting minutes on. We're notices of whatever's going on, so that everybody knows that we're going to continue to do that. We want people to know what's going on. That's the intention. So
I think we owed Ken Brooks a big thank you for that. He puts in a lot of time that isn't really paid for there for doing it to keep it up.
anybody out in the audience have anything that you'd like to see put on the website? I mean, that's always, we can always, every month we're gonna have this on, that people, if they, you know, go, oh, you should be putting that on the web, you know, we can do that, so.
We've added a new section called road updates. So, you know, when the board decides on what road projects are getting done for that year, we've got a nice section out there. It says, you know, here's the projects that are set for that year. Here's what's being done. You know, if we're doing chip sealing or if we're doing crack filling or, you know, all those different pieces. So, you know, that's a new section that we put out there. We've been doing some spotlights under the news and notices. So just trying to highlight some of the pieces that are on the website that maybe people don't know. So example, like in the case of park rentals, you can go out there. There's a calendar for park availability. It'll tell you, you know, when the pavilions are rented. You don't even have to contact me. You can look at it right from the website and see exactly what's open. And so we keep each month we try to do at least a spotlight of, you know, here's something that's on the website that maybe people didn't know. And so I encourage people to look at those news and notice section. So.
Okay.
Protection of the groundwater. Laura, would you bring up the well sampling project? Okay. This is also on our website, and it will also be, part of this will be in the newsletter. I will be at the town hall this Saturday from 9 to noon. I will have well sampling kits. It'll be $8. If you'd like to just test for the nitrates, Chippewa County will pay the $19.50. If you would like more testing done, that'll be fine. There'll be a sheet that you can fill out when you go home, and you can have whatever else tested if you want to test for bacteria and lots of other things. And then that check is made out to the Colfax testing lab in Colfax. And I'd like you all to bring the exact amount of cash, $8 with you. I don't want to have to make change, but you can also make a check payable to Chippewa County Treasurer in the amount of $8. So, and also, while I was there, they have the booklets now, groundwater flow model for Western Chippewa County that they just approved here on April 14th of 2019. And when I go in and turn in all of the information that I have to do on this well sampling project the following Monday, then I will try to get a few of those books to have on hand to distribute to the public. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on, night depository. So I've got a couple of companies I contacted in Debo, and I can't think of the other one, but right off. But I'm getting pricing on, and basically what it would be is a unit that we could sit inside the building here. And I'm looking at trying to get this into the clerk's office yet. Scott, how much the filing cabinets in there, I mean, what are we, them are all used, or what are we doing?
Yeah, we can't eliminate one if that's your question.
We can?
They need to stay.
Oh, we can't eliminate?
Cannot
Okay.
eliminate one.
Okay, so what we would have to do something between that and the printer to be able to do anything with it. To be able to get it put there, so that it's.
How much space does it take?
Oh, they're about that wide. It's 18 inches wide, something like that.
We could slide the whole unit down further if we had to.
Yeah.
We'll
So
see
we'll need to
kind of
take a look
space
at that,
requires.
but we'll bring that up. I should have the pricing and everything for the next meeting.
I'd like to downsize some, but we probably shouldn't.
Well, should we move them into them filing cabinets? Can we move them into the vault?
Pretty full in there.
Yeah, but
Really?
what we probably should do is go through them records that are in there and get rid of what we can. Some of that stuff we could probably get rid of now. But now that has to be done by board action, so maybe we should do that this coming month, and so that in August we can see what records we don't need to, if we don't need to keep them by law, let's get rid of them.
We are getting new election equipment, so, the one that looks like a copier in there, that one's going to go, and if I understand what we're replacing it with is quite a bit smaller.
Oh,
So that might leave us some options.
okay.
Mark, keep in mind the snow accumulation that's right in that area.
Yeah, we'll have to do something. If we have to put up a canopy or something, we'll have to do that. So, yeah, you're right, we'll have to pay attention to that too, Roger. Good point. Okay, I'm gonna put that, because that might be, I'll get a price together for that, a budget for that too, so. Okay, moving on then. Park camera system, proof of concept, so that just went in.
Yeah, went in the last week of June. I've checked it out. The camera's on the south side of the fire station watching that smaller lot. Picture quality is good from a perspective of being able to see vehicles, pretty good views of the people. One thing that we were also looking to hopefully capture would be license plate or something like that. That at least in the footage that I've looked at, I don't see it. I talked to Krista Computers. He does have a different camera. And so I'm gonna ask if we can try that other camera just to see how that performs in relation to this other one.
What, you know, I mean, what's kind of price difference is he saying?
He didn't tell me yet, but my guess is a couple $100 difference. But I think the difference there would be is it's not like we need to put that higher end camera in every location. We maybe only need that in one or two locations,
Right.
you know. And so, but the overall performance of the camera that's there with that Illuminite technology is pretty slick.
Yeah, I
You
saw
know,
the picture on there.
the camera only turns on if it detects motion and will record. And when you're looking at the footage, you can see there's a nice little spot that tells you right in the footage real easily that, oh, right here there was some activity. Picked up a deer and a cat and a rabbit. And it is amazing how much those porta potties get used. So, so I'm working with them to, like I said, we'll try that other camera just so we have a better idea of if we should be utilizing a different camera in a couple of the spots.
Let's
But
get one. We sure do need one that will get capture license plates.
Yeah.
And just one. If we
Yep.
can get that on the road coming in
Yeah.
or out of there, you know, then the rest of the stuff you can match up, whatever they were doing, but.
yeah, it's pretty slick. I mean, even with the night, you know, at night and stuff, it's some pretty slick technology.
Yeah.
So
All right, we'll put that on for the agenda again for next month and see what we're gonna do with that, but we gotta get something up there because,
yep.
I mean, we've got a lot of money invested into that park and stuff, and it's gonna get damaged or something if we don't, I mean, we can lose a lot real
Yeah.
quick, so, without the
Yeah,
cameras, so.
overall, I mean, a very small amount in relation to the money that's invested down there in the park between the fire station and the park. We're talking about a very small insurance policy here
Right.
to ensure that something happens, we know who did it and we can get it taken care of. So
I'll try to ask Stacy Miller when he comes tomorrow night too, if it'd make a difference in our insurance rate by having cameras on the security cameras.
Yeah,
It might.
it might, I don't know. Okay. Okay, review, discuss legal recommendations for the return of the email address. So, after last month when Mr. Fear came here and said he wanted open records request for all of the information on email that he has the access to and wouldn't give, and never did give us access to it. The legal response was you have to get the, you have to file again. So I filed the lawyer filed into the next level of court, circuit courts, and the judge on the 3rd of July, the judge ruled that this information has to be, the information to get access has to be turned over to the board. And as of today, the papers were being served on to Google to give either Wayne or Ken the information so that they can get access and set a new password and get the data. So then it's going to be up to the board what we want to do. If we want to, there are legal, we can take legal action against Mr. Fear for not turning over the stuff. There are laws against that in the state of Wisconsin, and there are punishments for not turning over public records. When you leave office, you're required by law to relinquish your public records back to that municipality. And so we'll take a look at what's going on with that, and what the lawyer is going to recommend that we do, depending on how what goes on with the return of this email. The Google has until, the judge gave Google until the 26th of July to get it turned in, or no. So how long that's going to take, I don't know, but they have till, he gave them till the 26th, but it took the judge every bit of 2 minutes to make a ruling in our favor, so. So that's where that stands right now. There will be some legal costs, a few $100s, $200 to $300 is the way it sounds, for filing this section of the court documents. And at some point, we should probably be recouping this from the person who caused all this trouble. So, or trying to. That'll be something we'll have to take a look at. Propane contract, 2019-20 heating season, how much?
I'll pull it up here for just a
This one?
We can talk about it a little bit first. The contract offered to the town from Chippewa Valley Energy is at $1.10 a gallon, which is 8 cents a gallon less than what last year was. We have $1,677.48 that's unused from last year that we can apply to this next year's propane cost for the fire station. Just to give the board a little background on this, because our usage was $4,800 gallons for the previous heating season. Last year was 30, almost 3,600 gallons. So with the lower product costs, along with lower usage, so with the lower usage plus the lower price per gallon, town saved about $3,500 in entering into this contract last year. And with the lower cost this year, plus the credit from last heating season, we're gonna be able to heat the fire station at about half the cost that we did from 2 years ago. So there's two options here. We can do the book contract, which is kind of a use it or lose it program. If you book 4,000 gallons and you don't use 4,000 gallons, you lose whatever's left. The other one is the prepay contract, which was what we did last year. You pay it up front, and whatever's left we can use for.
And that's at $1.10?
They're both at $1.10.
Oh.
So the booked contract is, in my opinion, for somebody who doesn't have the money now but still wants to try to hold the price low. For us, we've got the money budgeted, so
Yep.
I recommend we go with the prepaid contract. It's still at 5,000 gallons, because that's what we could use. We can review that next year if our usage is,
3,500.
yeah, around what this year is, but.
Better to have too much than not enough.
So it
There's-
went down from 40, what did you say, 46 to 35?
The usage, we used 4,800 last year. When I say last year, the previous heating
Right.
season. And now this one just short of 3,600.
So 1,200 gallons less.
1,200 gallons less plus a lower product cost, $3,500 extra.
Yeah, but my guess is that has a lot to do with that tank being replaced up there at the fire station.
Could be.
I'm guessing that tank was leaking. That tank was 27, 28 years old, something like that,
Could be.
1,000 gallon tank. Plus, we had one appliance in the fire station that was leaking, that is all fixed now. All of that stuff is all okay again, so.
So do
that
you
could
wanna
be-
book less, is that what you wanna do?
Well, I'm just,
The only,
I don't know, we probably should wait 1 year.
The
I
only-
mean, we're not gonna,
the only thing you lose by booking too much is the use of the money.
Yeah.
That's it.
yeah,
So, you know, for another $1,000,
Right.
you know, there's not much downside.
yeah, let's see what we do this coming year, cause this past winter was pretty cold. It was like cold weather, it wasn't a mild winter this year, so.
Thing is, if you don't reserve enough too, you run out, you're gonna pay the higher price, and that's usually $1.60, $1.80 a
Yeah,
gallon.
$1.50,
So
something
you,
in there.
it's, you're better off to
Make a
book more upfront.
I'll make a motion that we purchase 5,000 gallons at $1.10 a gallon prepaid contract.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to purchase 5,000 gallons at $1.10 a gallon as prepaid. Roll call.
Ken Books,
Yes.
Bud Beckwith, Wayne Miller,
Yes,
Alice Drosky,
Yes.
Mark Blaskowski.
Yep. Okay, bartenders licenses, who you got this time?
There's some more that came through. I checked everybody, no issues with any of them.
How many people?
I'm gonna say at least 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just additional ones that didn't make it through from last time.
Okay.
So I recommend the board approves all of the received licenses.
I'll make a motion, we accept them.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the licenses, bartender licenses for the applicants, people who applied. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Review, discuss, act on land owned by William Nelson at the curb between 62nd Avenue.
I got a blueprint.
Okay, let's see what we got there. Can we put it on the,
And you want to put it the way that you need it to go.
yeah, that'd be the best way. So that corner that's green, that's where our,
Yeah, that's part of the branch. And the corner, when the corner was made, there was still property on the other side. So that's right where Wheaton's road goes into the gravel pit. So down the road, I may sell a parcel of land. And that corner would belong to lot 3 if I did. And so I thought it was a good idea to take care of it now before somebody else owns it. You know, if I was to sell it. I actually am probably gonna sell that lot. I do have it listed with a realtor. But I'm having second thoughts. So, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's still
Well,
something
let's-
that the board and I need to reconcile some kind of agreement. I would think that the best way to go about it would, for the town of Wheaton to purchase that from me. I would think, you know, I just can't, I don't wanna leave it the way it is because
right.
maybe that guy decides if he bought that parcel of land that he owns the other part of it too, and then they would deny access to Wheaton to get into their gravel pit.
Right.
How much is there, Bill?
How much land?
Pardon?
How much land is there
How
total?
much land is it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Probably a fraction of an acre.
Well, yeah, it's,
It's not very much. Those lots are 6 acres. So lot 3 is, you know, lot 1, 2, and 3, but it's 6 acres with the other side. Well, actually it says on it, 6.58 acres is all of them.
lot 3.
Yeah, lot 3.
How much are you asking for that?
Pardon?
The price?
I didn't hear you.
How much?
I have no idea. I just wanna do something that's fair.
A buck?
You guys be fair with me, I'll be fair with you, you know?
How much land, you don't know how much land there?
No.
That you're- No?
Well, no, I don't, not right there. It might say it on there.
That's what I was looking to see if it actually had it written.
Can you, bring it up off the
It- I-
mapping?
It isn't here.
What is it?
Oh, on the GPS, on the
Yeah.
GIS? No, I don't have an address or anything. I don't have his name.
It's 3
They
to
could bring it
4.
up on
I'll tell you what, who's gonna be here at the next meeting is John Mickish, surveyor,
Yeah,
okay? And I've actually, am asking to be put on the agenda for the next meeting, and John will be here, and he can give you all the details on that, cause he's been surveying this
Okay.
whole thing,
Sure.
so if we can get John on the agenda,
Yeah, yeah.
he can explain it a lot better. And then, my realtor, his card is on that sheet. He said if we can come to an agreement, he'll do all the paperwork and all the legwork for $200 to transfer that piece of property to the town of Wheaton instead of me. So, you guys can, this is the agenda sheet for next meeting,
Yep.
and this for John. And he would just like to get a CSM approval.
Yep. So,
And this little corner is also on this map here too.
right.
So if you had any,
Well,
you know,
really, you need to go through the plan commission for this, cause there's 3 lots. So the plan commission needs to look at this to begin with.
right, he's taking care of all that, but he would like to meet with
Have they
Wheaton.
called you? Okay, so you need to get a hold of Alice and get put on the plan.
John needs to call me.
John has to call you,
Yeah, yes.
okay?
We're on a first name basis. Yeah, but you still better tell him to call me.
Can you write that on the back of this?
Sure.
And then I will make sure that he gets the message, because I'm just,
Yeah, and then, cause then you need to go to the plan commission, and then.
John's
then
gonna
it'll
take care of
come
all
back-
that.
Right, and then it'll come back to here, and,
I just carry-
he knows what to do.
I just
John-
carry the paperwork kind of. And do you wanna keep that?
Yes,
Does,
I do.
then you've got it, perfect.
Just in case I don't, yes, it's John and Alice. He says I'm just like his wife, and I don't think that's good. Yep, we
Does he
talk.
frown when he says it?
I think I can tell it in his
So,
voice on the phone.
I just take a
So
look
call
at it,
us.
I'm easy to deal with and work with, let's figure something out,
Yep.
what's fair.
Yep.
And,
And let's see
and
if
if
the
you got any
August.
questions, my realtor knows a lot more about it than I do, and so does John. I just happened to catch it when we were putting together the survey.
Tell John to call me, or otherwise he knows he can email me. I'm the Wheaton Planning Commission Chair. Tell him he has to get on the August meeting agenda. And then he'll send me everything, and then I'll have to call him
And
at
then
least
once the-
twice and remind him.
And then once the,
I'll tell him you said that. No.
Yes, tell him I said that. I call him at least twice.
No, that's,
Yeah, I'll need this. Yeah.
okay,
and then once it's at the plan commission, then Alice will, whatever the plan commission, then she has, if he lets me know
okay.
to put it on the
Tell him
board.
to, yeah, I'll talk to him too. Tell him to come because we really wanna know how much land will be for sale, correct?
Come to the next meeting.
Yeah, John really needs to. Or if
He
not-
wants to be here.
Or if not, well, he'll have to come to my meeting then, yeah. But, or you come with, make sure that we know exactly how much land is going to be.
John will be here.
First Tuesday of the month at the fire station.
Yeah, oh no, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
it's on
have to
here,
call
the
John.
sheet, so,
Okay,
okay.
yep, I'll do that.
All
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank-
Bill.
Yeah,
That's all you need from me, guys and girls.
Okay,
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, have a great day.
Thanks.
thank you for thinking of us.
Take
Review,
care.
discuss act on request by Kim Huss to create 3 5-acre lots on property on 30th Ave. This was going to be 4, right? Is this the same?
This is what I was at the plan commission meeting for.
Yes, please bring that up. Just,
Alice, do you have the map or do you want me to?
No,
it's right there. It'll come up,
Okay.
right
Do you
there.
want me to do my act?
Please tell us everything. Tell them all everything.
Okay, do you want my address, 1184 10th Avenue? Okay, what I want to do is create 3 5-acre lots, and they are 436 approximately feet on the road, going about 500 feet deep. And I looked at visibility, it looks looks really good for visibility on all the lots. Lot 2 and 3, we would put the driveways in those lots just because, just the way that, that they lay. It's kind of higher ground right in the middle there by lot 2 and 3, but, there's really good visibility of the driveway on that lot would both go closer to, pretty close to that lot line in between lot 2 and 3. My husband's willing to do that for me there. I don't really know what else to say, so.
We did talk.
Yeah, and we've got it just platted.
And she did it, she platted it, yeah. So
On
the
plat.
CSM, she came back with a plat.
This
so-
is, you got the house on the corner, and then after that 5 acres is when these kick in, correct?
The house actually is right across the street.
Yeah, these are on the other
This
side.
is the east
Mhm.
corner there, and the house is right across on the west, the southwest
So
corner.
the the old farmhouse is on the north, isn't just north of this?
Right.
This is,
No, well, oh, right, the old farmhouse is just north of, the old Osmond farmhouse
Right.
is just north of it,
on the other
yes.
side of 30th Avenue, so
Right,
that's
to
where
the
this
north.
Oh, okay, so this is that field then.
That's
Is this
correct.
field?
Yep, and then the old brown house is just west of lot 1 across the
Right,
street there.
across 30th Street,
Right.
okay.
My surveyor's got all the stakes out, and they're kinda hard to see, but if you guys wanna go take a peek, you can,
That's-
just kinda, if you look close, you'll see it in the woods there,
We
right in
approved it,
between lots.
100% 7-0, so I mean, it was approved by us. We didn't see any problem.
Yeah, yeah. It's all platted.
Mhm.
It's,
I make a motion, we allow it as plotted.
I'll second.
motion made and seconded to allow the division of this into 3 5-acre lots. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Review, discuss request by Mark to rezone property at 10141 County X from ag to residential 1.
Okay, I'm looking to rezone it to residential 1 because I want to put addition on the backside of my shop for more storage. The existing building that is there. This all started.
Keep going, Laura, keep going. More of that, more yet. Keep going. Oops, up, I think, 1. There we go. Thank you, Laura.
So the proposed area would be right here on the backside. I want it on the backside, that's the most room there. First of all, let's start by, I was told this was residential property, so I thought, okay, I know the setbacks for residential, and so I decided I was gonna put an addition on the backside for lawnmower, for leaf blowers, that kind of stuff. So, got a builder lined up, and him and I went over everything, and except one thing, I thought he was getting the builder permit, and he thought I was getting it, so the foundation went in and the floor, concrete floor, and then we find out that the building permit wasn't taken care of, so I went to go file for it, and I find out it's zone residential. So,
Agriculture.
or agricultural, so whoever I listened to wasn't right.
Who
So-
told you it was zoned residential?
I don't wanna put names out there.
But somebody at the county zoning office didn't tell you that?
No,
Oh, okay.
No, nobody at the zoning office.
All right.
Everybody at the zoning office I talked to was very nice to talk to, so, and have an issue there. So, that's why I'm proposing, if I rezone it to residential 1, I can use everything that I put into it. And, I understand that we don't wanna do residential properties under 5 acres in the town of Wheaton. This has been a pre-existing property that's been used for residential since Rooney built it. Or after he had sold it. So, I just didn't think there would be a big issue with trying to rezone to residential 1. What's,
The way the comp plan, works, gentlemen on the board, is that this is what we're trying not to do, is spot zone. We're trying to keep everything in an area. We don't like to say, well, this we can do here, this we can do there. We discussed this at length at the planning commission. You know, he created his own hardship, is what we almost said, by getting the misinformation and then now going ahead and doing this. We just felt that we couldn't even do a variance because we were afraid that precedents would get set. It's nothing against you, it's just simply that we felt that other people would come in and say, well, I started this project, now I found out this, well, let's just rezone it. And it's nothing to do with you again, we stuck by the rules, that's what I'm gonna say. The planning commission went by the rules. We aren't spot zoning, we said you'll have to seek a different alternative, whatever that is. If it's go
No.
talk to a neighbor, what?
I have found that spot zoning is not necessarily what's going on here. Spot zoning would be like one property that's residential, and no matter a mile away, there's gonna be another residential one in the middle of ag. That was what I was told by, that was spot zoning was more like that. We have a bunch of properties right on the other side of this one that are all residential already.
It is, but it doesn't connect to yours.
No, I
They're
know
not
that.
connected. Well, I'm just telling the town board that because we're the Wheaton Planning Commission, we stuck to the rules.
How far is that residential zone?
Laura, move it a little bit.
Which way?
Oh, I don't know, up or down?
No, side.
Nope,
No, you
go,
can't
nope,
move
keep
it.
going up, go to number 9. Page 9, there you go. Okay, come down a little bit.
Okay, so that's it.
Yep, where the
The
gray
gray
area
is
is,
the
I believe
residential.
that's residential. And that was long before my time. I don't know what town board did that,
Oh, that was quite a
30
while
years
ago.
ago.
yeah.
30 years ago,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
I take it your slab is too close to the property line, is that what the problem is?
Agricultural, yes.
And how close are you to it? On which
12 feet.
end? The east end, the south end?
Off the south side, this way. And it's 12 feet from the property line.
Isn't there something that you could go and, I know my dad ran into this when a neighbor wanted to add on in the city of Eau Claire because he was too close to the property line. As long as my dad gave the approval, he didn't mind him doing that, that it was, they allowed it. So that's maybe something you wanna go back to the zoning office and check with?
Well,
And get permission from that landowner that it wouldn't make a difference to him?
I did talk to Doug about that, and he says, so now if I'm there and he's all right with it, but when somebody else buys my piece of land, if I ever go to sell it, how's that gonna work when you go to?
Once it's approved, it stays. If the guy that owns that land south of you, if that's where you're too close to, if he says, yeah, he's got my permission to
Who is
build it.
that? Who's the property?
Go to page
Is that
8
really-
again, please, Laura. There, who's the house there? Who,
This one here?
yes,
Jeff Roths. He's, he owns all this land in the backside, that field, everything. He owns all that. So,
If you're only, how many feet off are you? 2?
3.
3 feet.
That's the option. Why don't you go to him and talk to him and say, hey, you know, here's what I'm up against. Would you give me verbal agreement to let me build closer than what it allows this one time?
So
If he
this-
said yes, then you
But
then you
why-
wouldn't have to change it.
I guess I'm gonna have to go through rezoning and everything else just to do it that much closer, I would say.
No,
I mean, I spent the $350 thinking that this was not gonna be an issue, but my God, this is, I don't get it.
if he gives you the approval that he don't mind if you build, you know, closer than that's what's necessary and willing to sign the paper to it, then it doesn't matter. It stays with your property when you sell it. you know, there's that variance.
Apparently not.
It's just a one-time variance. Once it's there, that they're giving you.
Rooney owned all of that, all of it.
And it'd be better than rezoning that. It'd be cheaper than for you to rezone that, is just get his permission and get that variance.
See,
I don't know
the
if the
thing with
fair-
this piece of property, with these properties out here is, when that was made residential, and that was before I mean, that's all, since
I
I've
know
been
the
here
whole
for
story
20
behind that.
Then, all of that was residential.
No, so when Rooney sold it, all this land around here was actually zoned commercial. Then they wanted to put the pipeline business there, but then there was petition from everybody around that didn't want it there.
No, that's not what they were doing. That I know for sure. They wanted to make it commercial. And the argument at that point was, you are the one who made it residential. See, that was all residential. Now, they may have, I don't know when they ever put it back to agricultural, because all of that was residential, because Rooney was gonna develop the whole thing as residential. Then, when he wanted to put the pipeline business out there, because I was on the plan commission at the time when he came and asked to rezone it to commercial, from residential to commercial, and at the time I argued and said, you're the one who wanted it residential. You're the one who made it residential. You sold this property saying it was going to be residential, and now you're going to make it commercial right next to the residential, and the people that were there didn't want it to be commercial. And I went, well, I'm not agreeing to that. I guess I don't think that's right. You're the one who made it residential, not, so if that's ag now, I wanna know when that became ag, cause I don't believe it is. I believe that was residential anyway.
No, I talked to Jeff, the one that owns the house there next to 29, and he says when he bought that land, he says it was commercial, is what he told me, and then
Wait.
he changed it to ag.
It was never commercial. Definitely
So-
wasn't, cause Rooney would've had that pipe business would have been there, not out here. He put it out here because of that. So that was never commercial. I've got a bit of a problem with what is going on at the county, because I know of several other lots that were zoned, that all of a sudden they just don't show up on the map, and there was never any recording of changing that, and this is one of them. And the other one is Dairyland Power. That was industrial. Every bit of that 70-some acres was industrial, and it doesn't show any industrial land over there now. That was just arbitrarily taken off the maps. There was never any hearings about it or anything. Because if there had been, I would have known it. I would have known about it. And there never was. So I got a little bit of a problem, even because just the way that lot is formed right there.
Right.
That was residential to begin with. I can tell you it was. There's no way that wasn't residential. And the request for Rooney before he built the pipe business over here was to change from residential to commercial. Not from ag, but from residential to commercial. Well, yeah, but if somebody at the county just didn't bother keeping up
No,
with
but
the.
now when he got the deed for the house, how long have you lived there?
2 years.
When did he own it, from 2 years ago? When did it say that his land is residential?
Well, yeah, but if the county just quit saying it was residential arbitrarily 10 years ago, no. See, that's what I'm saying, is that at some point, because that all was residential.
Well, then let's just put her back to residential now.
I just don't understand, I don't understand how that became
Ag.
ag. I don't know how it became ag, because it was definitely residential at one time, every bit of that land. The whole thing they were gonna develop that whole thing, and then they only sold them houses along 95th.
So what was gonna be, all of this was gonna be
This
residential?
here was all residential at one time. There was maps that showed that it was all residential. So I don't know what happened that all of a sudden, because then I noticed that it was all of a sudden not on the maps. And I guess I didn't run it down because it wasn't affecting me at the time.
It was affecting him.
So I didn't go chase that down to find out why, but the land, I mean, and I know that happened to the land across the road from me. It was absolutely industrial. There was, because they couldn't have put them engines in there without it being industrial. All of that land was industrial. It is now ag.
Yeah.
And they don't show any of that as industrial anymore. Well, they couldn't have built the engines if it hadn't have been industrial to begin with. So I know for sure, I mean, I've got the papers that say what it was, and all of a sudden it just ended up not being on the map anymore. So I got, that's my take on it. So the rest of the board can decide what they think about this. I think that I guess I don't have a problem with it being residential, but I understand what the plan commission did. And I
Right.
agree with them that that changing that is, that's, because you went there and started the construction before getting all of this solved, doesn't mean it should be changed. There may be some
No.
other reason for it to be changed, but that's not a good reason, is what I would agree with the plan commission that because you didn't get the building permit at the correct time, that you didn't know this.
Yeah, it's all my fault,
Yeah, and now, I know that was residential. That was R1 all over there, and that was actually on the maps at one time. I don't know where I'd ever find maps like that, but.
So if we zone it to residential one, I'll keep the cows off and the heifers and all the chickens and.
But, yeah, what do you guys think on the board? What do you think?
What was the recommendation by the planning commission?
We didn't approve it. No, what,
Approve, no, to leave it? Leave it as
no,
A.
this is what we said. The Wheaton Planning Commission does not approve Mark's request to rezone from ag to residential one, and that he seek alternative solutions.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I mean, you know, we should have a motion. I can talk to, how critical is it that you need something? I mean, if you waited another month, it wouldn't be a huge issue or something, you know.
No.
Because let me talk, I'll talk to Doug Clary, because I want to know what's going on, why these maps have gotten changed for arbitrarily. That's one of them that I'm sure, I was on the plan commission at the time when Rooney was building that, and I recommended that he go take a look at the land over off of D, because it was, I said, you know, why would you go out there, go off of D where you have access to the highways? Why would you even want to build over there? And besides that, it's residential. Why would we change it back? You're the one who changed it to begin with. He wasn't real happy with me, but you know, and the rest of the plan commission then went, yeah, let's just
Well,
see
then
what else you can do. And so then he built over there.
Can you find out more from Doug and then
I
come
will.
back next month?
Yeah,
and we'll
yeah.
make a-
Let
a
me
different-
find out.
We'll get
Shall
a
we
more
table it?
informed, yeah, can we table it?
Yeah, we can table
Can you
this.
come back next month then to the town board meeting?
Sure.
And then we'll have a more informed decision of what Mark finds out?
Yeah, and see what's going on with that land and what that order of moving that land around, because it looks to me like that's what that it was residential at the time anyway.
Because we didn't know any of this
Right.
at the
Right.
planning commission, and neither did you, obviously.
No,
So,
'cause that
No,
was too
I
different.
would
Here we
agree,
go.
I would agree with the plan commission if it's just an issue over, well, I didn't know it. Okay, we can't, that's a bad precedent to set. I mean, we really, the law says that we are not supposed to be doing that, to changing things because of
You're-
that. So,
I'd fire your builder.
but now there may be extenuating circumstances
Right,
for this specific situation.
right,
And then there would be some reason to do it.
that's correct. If you find out,
Correct,
he needs to find out what's really going on.
yeah.
All right.
Okay,
So,
All right.
next month,
So-
second
Jane.
Tuesday.
We'll see if we can get it resolved
All
properly.
right.
Yep, thank you,
Good.
thank you.
Yeah,
I hate things not getting solved, but
yeah.
you better,
It's a mess.
I'd rather had it solved one way or the other, but.
We can't though.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, resolution for establishing public participation for the comprehensive plan. Resolution will be available at the meeting, so.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, bring those two things up, please.
Can only do one at a time.
Pardon?
Can only do one at a time.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, thank you.
okay.
Yeah, that's great. Here, let me just see, which one did you bring up? A, yeah. This is just the public participation plan, the community survey, planning commission meetings, stakeholder interviews, Town of Wheaton website. The town will utilize its website to provide information related to the process of updating the comp plan and host draft copies of the chapters so that residents be able to view and comment on them. Would that be a problem, Ken, if I forward those to you? Can you upload those?
Yeah, we got a,
You can?
yeah, we can put a section out there for it.
Yeah, that would be good, and we'll let people comment. Property owners, that just goes to talk about, where metallic, minerals may be mined, and provide a final draft to the adjacent communities to review and comment, and then public hearings. We did leave in the planning, stakeholder interviews, said key stakeholders, both individuals and groups, will be identified by Cedar Corp and the Planning Commission. The interviews will be scheduled, conducted with these groups to gather their perceptions and ideas about a comp plan issues. We left that in case we wanna say, invite farmers, all the farmers in the town of Wheaton for a planning commission meeting, all the businessmen, that type of thing, so that if that is something that we wanna do, that's in there that says, yes, you go ahead and do that. Then everybody gets a chance to talk, all the businessmen, all the, the farmers, that type of thing. Okay, go to the next one then. And then that will be the,
This is a resolution.
yeah, this is the resolution to adopt. It's self-explanatory.
Everybody have a chance to read that? And I just forwarded that with the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Does this have to be posted? Yes. The resolution?
No.
No, it doesn't have to be?
We do not have
Oh,
to do that. We
okay.
can vote on it and then post it
Okay,
after.
oh, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
afterwards,
Yeah,
we will post it, yes.
correct, yes,
Yeah.
okay.
So this is adopting that procedure, so.
Yes.
I'll make the motion to adopt the procedure as presented.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to adopt the resolution and procedure as written. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Okay, review, discuss, act on notice to cease and desist in reference to the Facebook page that is purporting itself to be the township Facebook page. So I noticed that I went on there and checked when I put this on, and there hasn't been any activity on it, but it's still there.
Yep.
So, here's a, and everybody had a chance to read that?
You did,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yep.
Thought it was,
Go ahead.
it was excellent.
Make a motion to approve this
I'll
ordinance?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve the cease and desist notice, to be forwarded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. We'll get that
Did a
set.
good job doing that, Tim.
Review, discuss, act on paving of the, there, we're to your.
Tom, you're up.
8:30.
Review, discuss, act on the paving of the centers of the cul-de-sac on 72nd and 67th Avenue as we pave these two roads. Discuss the pros and cons of removing trees, grass, and replacing with pavement. So we heard a couple of cons for it, reasons to not do it. Got Roger?
Is this the only one that's targeted? the only cul-de-sac that's targeted.
Well, yeah, just because we're doing.
We're doing the road,
Because of
that's
paving
why,
it.
we're paving
The-
it.
The new ordinance,
I understand that. Is this the only one that's gonna be paved?
in that
This year?
addition,
Like the
Or-
one down north of the little store on 29?
Yeah.
That is the tightest cul-de-sac.
Well, no, as we get to working on these things, we gotta do something with them. If we can do anything with them, we need to be
Well, to
doing
be fair
all
about
of
it,
it.
I did get stuck there when I first started, and I had the old Mack truck. Since I plowed with the four-wheel drive, I haven't had a problem
On what, 72nd or 67th or?
on these two. Yeah.
So
Our-
what, Adam, you were up there this winter plowing, I don't know why. Lenny's been
Yeah.
having a problem with it.
I mean, the problem with the cul-de-sacs is they're just so hard to plow when there's something in the middle. If it's nothing there, you can just plow it off straight. But if you're trying to go around, as the truck swings around, the back is always draining into the snow. So you can't, there's no way to get that out. So so when I plowed it, I would try to come in and push through and then back out so that you could swing, kind of get a little bit more and then push the middle over. And then
I hear you back there.
So it's, yeah, and a lot of the driveways are straight off the end, so
Yeah.
when you're making that first pass, now I'm pushing all the snow right into the end of your driveway, which the homeowners, I'm sure, aren't too happy about getting a full load of snow in the end, so you're trying not to do that. Between that and then with the mailboxes and stuff, it's so hard to get them, trucks are so long, the little truck, I mean, that's what I was plowing with, and it was, yeah, you can do it, like Roger said, I don't know how they're getting through there with the big trucks, but I know this year they got stuck probably
Well,
6 times that I know of.
They did
Just
it
in the
for the big
cul-de-sacs.
ones all the time before we got the small one. I tell you what, I think we've been stuck more on straight roads than those cul-de-sacs. The problem is getting where we're gonna put the snow. People in the cul-de-sacs, they don't like their driveway,
Sure.
So I've been trying to get it all in the center, push it in the center. I do put it outside the circle too, but,
Yeah, it should go around, first of all, go around the opposite way and
yeah.
plow it into the middle, but then you got trees there, so.
if it was 100% paved, you'd be out of there in 10 minutes. I mean, you would be out of there in
Yeah,
a really short period of time with the big truck.
It's
That
definitely way
I
harder.
grant you,
Yeah.
yes. I don't like cul-de-sacs. I wish we never had any. But and I didn't know you planned on doing all of them.
Well, as you get to them, we're not gonna go around and purposely tear up cul-de-sacs for,
Because this
Just
is
a terrible-
not the worst one.
Our new.
no, actually, these are, them are not as bad, but we're fixing the road, so I wanna, I said, well,
this is the time
should
to
we
do it.
start getting, as we're fixing the road, start doing something with the cul-de-sacs to,
I do see
I-
where there'd be a significant amount of expense involved with adding that to the project, because at least in the one cul-de-sac, there's some pretty sizable trees that are gonna, you're not gonna leave those tree stumps in there and pave over tree stumps.
oh, no.
And, quite a bit of fill, and frankly, quite a bit more blacktop, which it could look much nicer on my driveway than it would. But-
I understand that.
For a small fee, we can arrange
I can
it.
tell you that the bids are, the paving and everything is including the paving the cul-de-sacs, that area. So we've got it in the budget to be able to do that, but now, but it's also a contract that if they don't put pavement down, then we don't pay for it.
Yeah.
We're paying for what they're putting down, so, it's not we don't have to renegotiate contracts or anything like that.
Alice-
So it's really up to the board
What-
whether we wanna get into a program
Let her speak.
getting rid of
That's
the
it.
cul-de-sacs.
What just gonna tell you though is, any future cul-de-sacs are gonna be 100% paved. They're 100% paved, it's in our subdivision ordinance, it's in our roadway ordinance.
But it wasn't when these were built.
No, it isn't, but we're redoing the road. That's why you guys, we're not picking on you, we're just redoing the road.
It's a problem cul-de-sac, and that's why
All,
go
yeah,
ahead.
they all are.
Mark, we talked a little bit, a couple months ago, about when we're gonna repay the road, with the bring the cul-de-sac up to town specs.
Right. That's why this came up, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And we had a problem over on 30th, you know, which could have solved an awful lot of discussion if we went in there and brought the cul-de-sac up to town specs, which would have made it a lot easier to plow.
Yeah, and that one is especially.
This one here, you got town, you got 70-foot radius for a cul-de-sac, which
It's small.
That's
is way too
small.
small.
The new one's 120.
Correct.
So, I mean, we probably maybe should be sitting down and taking a look, you know, if we expand the cul-de-sac, we could still leave the center, but we gotta have more than sufficient room to do it.
Is there room around that, to do that out there? Now, the middle one, the one off of 67th, we can take them, I mean, if we took them trees and stuff out, that's not going, there's so many trees down 67th anyway, that it's not going to change a whole lot. It does change something on 72nd, because as you come up, it's kind of open there.
Right.
So the other option would be to expand the outside, but that'd be getting more right of way out into the property owners.
But it would also maybe improve the deal of not
Is that
having the
gonna-
driveway shut,
Right,
you know.
right. I don't know, would that help by doing that? You guys plowing, I don't plow, I mean, I know what you're gonna get in, what you get into, and, you know, as you come around and it's pushing the truck out and
What do you think, Scott? Scott?
a bigger, what do you think, Scott?
Scott?
There's now a single cul-de-sac with a center that isn't paved in Eau Claire. I don't know why the town of Wheaton isn't paving them. Like I say, you'd be out of there in 10 minutes. You'd go in there and plow straight and angle it out, everybody get an even distribution of the snow,
Why
and
didn't they pay them?
you'd be out of there.
They just didn't, I don't know, they weren't paving them, and that was, you know, gonna make, but, you know, when this all was started, our trucks were way smaller. We had, or we were using a grader or something, but I don't know, this stuff, you know, the trucks were just small, we got big trucks now.
I think residents would notice a better quality job plowing their streets if the cul-de-sac was paved in the center.
Well,
Those paths just get narrow and narrow as the winter goes on, and if it was paved in the center, it would be 100% clear all the time.
I get the whole argument of the looks of it. Sure. So, I mean, I get that, but just to put it in perspective for the people that live on them, 1/3 of the time spent plowing is just plowing cul-de-sacs. So if we weren't spending 1/3 of the time plowing, you know, you can plow a lot of road in the amount of time it takes to plow a cul-de-sac. So when you're saying, yeah, it costs a little more to pave it now, yeah, but that's made up in one winter of plowing. You know, just in amount of time, and so there's more to it than what you're looking at. So when I looked at it, when I was plowing this last winter, and you're right, Roger's right, because we happened to have so much snow, and they were getting, you couldn't push them anymore, and they were getting in and in and in, you know, so it was probably worse this winter than a lot of winters, but it just takes so much time. I mean, if I think about 1/3 of the plowing, just in the cul-de-sacs that are in this town, that's a lot of time spent for cul-de-sacs.
And if you get a truck stuck in there and you have to wait for 45 minutes to get pulled out of there,
Yeah,
that's
I
time
ran
spent.
2 or 3 trucks.
Yeah.
And people and fooling around, and like I said, I know of at least 6 times that they were stuck this last winter in various ones around town.
Jerry, have you plowed any cul-de-sacs when you've been plowing?
Yeah,
What's your opinion?
I got stuck in one.
I guess we know what your opinion is.
Well, they take time, but they're gonna take time, extra time because of the backing up, even if they're all paved.
Right.
But, yeah, like Scott says, you get a straight shot across, and I understand the aesthetics of having trees there, I like to see that too. You know, it's a kind of a trade-off thing. One thing that I got to thinking about after I wasn't plowing anymore is going around in the opposite direction, so you're pushing the snow toward the middle. When you're trying to push the outside and you turn that way, your plow, it
pushing you in.
Angle, it's not cutting very much.
Right.
If you went the other way, it would cut more, but then you'd be pushing so much your front end wouldn't turn either.
That's exactly what happens. It pushes you away from that center, which
Right.
which gets you into the mailboxes then,
Yeah.
because it's so narrow.
You know, you could end up sliding over in the mailbox.
Yeah.
But, that would solve it if you could move it to the center. If the cul-de-sacs were bigger diameter,
Right.
it would make it a whole lot easier to leave trees there so fall. But making the tight turn.
The issue right now is that we've got the roads pulverized, and we gotta do something. We gotta, you know, if we were expanding it, it would still be, I mean, it would be taking, we would have to have right-of-ways on people's property. And it would be moving it out. Is that an effective way of doing it? Relocating them trees, you know, that's not real cheap, I would imagine it's $1,000 a tree or something.
Well, you can rent that cone thing.
Yeah, but then.
Each one of them wanted a tree, they could split it.
And the other problem with the trees is too, is these that you showed the picture of are nice trees and they look really nice now, but in 15 or 20 years, when they're huge, now all of a sudden the sun's not melting the snow and then it's icy, so that's making it harder to plow, and now pretty soon they're hanging towards the road, so the truck can't get close, and it just, I don't know.
Even 67th.
I get it, I just.
Even 67th Avenue, you know, there's so many trees along there, the trees really need to be cut back away. But, I mean, we're not going to go into starting to cut trees down just because they're in the right of way. We're not doing that because, but even that would help the roads just to move them back a little bit, get them back another 15 feet would open the roads up enough to get sunshine in, but. So, that occurs even on straight stretches. 60th Avenue over there is just horrible for that. But yeah, I don't know. We gotta do something with, you know, I'd like to get where we're not doing these, that the cul-de-sacs are put in as a cul-de-sac and big enough to get the trucks around them and things like that. And I understand the people, you know, you guys have been living there and,
Yeah.
you know,
21 years.
it's tough.
No, 19.
Yeah, and I understand, you know,
Been that
that
long?
we're trying to, of course, what our job is for the entire township.
Sure.
Not just people on the cul-de-sac. I mean, it's the whole township that it does affect. There's an effect because it takes longer to plow and things like that, so. Well, we need a motion. We gotta do something because we're gonna have to, I gotta know what to direct people to do. We're gonna probably be paving. It's gonna be towards the end of August to pave, but, so we've got a little bit of time, but that time goes by really, really fast. So what do you guys think?
Nobody wants to be the first one that speaks up.
These are tough ones, tough decisions. I guess I'm in favor of paving the cul-de-sacs, is what I'm in favor of paving cul-de-sacs. We need to probably do something. We don't mind doing landscaping and we're going to do that as we go along, as we hit people's driveways and stuff. You know, we've got black dirt. Specifically, town has a bunch of black dirt that we got specifically for taking care of that kind of stuff. I mean, we've got, how much did we get? We got quite a bit this year. Lenny was able to get a bunch from Dennis Hawkins, so. So we've got a good amount of pretty good black dirt, to be able to help with some of that kind of, you know, to make sure that people can get things growing in the ditches and all that kind of, growing along their property and stuff, but.
Oh, no, it did not. But if I was going to vote, I would stand with the planning commission's thoughts on, you know, how we're moving forward with 100% paving. We have 100% paving in our subdivision ordinance now, we have 100% paving in our road ordinance. We're not picking on 67th Avenue, we're not picking on, you know,
72nd.
72nd Street. Any cul-de-sac now that comes in front of us,
It's gotta be
is going to
paved.
have to be 100% paved. So the
Yeah.
next people that come in and have, that have the same, oh my, it's great, and it is great, we'll have to say and make that hard decision again.
And I was one of the people that voted to do that, so.
Yeah.
I'll
So-
make a motion that it be paved on Second,
67th and 70th.
right. Well, not, it's just the one they wanna pave, right?
No, both of them.
The both of them?
72nd Street and 67th Avenue.
And both of them are small cul-de-sac?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, 67th is actually bigger than
Quite a bit.
72nd.
Right, but that has like 10 mature oaks and maples. Those
Yeah.
are much more, that's
I don't know
more
if people-
wild. That's wilder.
Yeah,
Much
I
wilder.
don't know if people there want that wood, some must want wood down there, but, I mean, Lenny can take them trees down, that isn't the problem. And we can get them, we'll grub that and we can do all of that, we rent a backhoe for a couple of days and we can have everything cleaned up.
Stump grind 'em.
Well, we won't grind them because we don't want that in there. We want them ripped out for,
Oh,
we'd
okay.
have to rip it all out so that we can get a good base in there. We'll have to haul, but we've got the material, we've got all the material in the shale pit that we can use for backfill and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a matter of the labor and, the gas to get it done. And we're paying the guys already, so.
So you have to make a motion for both.
Okay, I'll make a motion to do both of them then. Cause that's what the planning commission has got for the ordinances from here on, we should stick with it going forward. Any seconds?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to pave the cul-de-sacs on 67th and 72nd. Let's have a roll call vote.
Ken Books? No. Wayne Miller?
Yes.
Bud Beckwith? Alice Drosky?
Yes.
Mark Laskowski?
Yes. Now, them trees and stuff though, I'll come up there and I'm gonna be gone for a week. I gotta be out of town for work for a week, but I'll come up there, it'll be the 20th or something that weekend, for the 20th, and see if we can work out something to do something with the trees, what could happen to them trees and,
Well,
and
I think we would even rather see them put in a park or, I don't know if you have a way to get them out, but just.
They're nice trees.
they're
No,
really
I
nice
know what
trees.
I know what they look like. I mean, that there one is a tough one. That 72nd is, the other one, I guess it's like, it doesn't really change the feel of the neighborhood or anything. That one does change the feel of the neighborhood.
And then if there's a way you can get them out of there and put them in the Wheaton Park or here
There
or.
you go, Ken.
There you go.
Don't somebody want them in their yard over there? Possibly?
Well, or
Yeah,
if you
if
could,
we can get them out of there. I think it would be a very.
let's take a look at, see what we can do with that.
Okay.
And
We appreciate that.
and see if there's something that we can do. I mean, we've got money in our budget to redo that road. Part of that road where it blew up, we're not positive, I don't know, what is that road looking like? Are you seeing soft spots when it rains?
There's a couple soft spots there yet.
Okay, cause, there should be some marks, some paint marks in the ditch, or, I think Lenny, he had some stakes by it.
Yeah.
So we wanna kinda watch that, cause we're gonna have to rip that, so we've got work that we have to do up there, and we're gonna have to have backhoes and stuff in there.
Do you put, any, separation fabric under that area?
We haven't yet, that's what, we were waiting to see if that's stabilized, or if that's a spring or something.
Front of Scott Moore's area there, and that, right in that area, is that spot, then right around the corner by the woodpecker,
Yeah,
that's
Yep.
that spot there.
yeah, so what we'll, and on 50th Street here, last year, we had to go in there and put in a couple 200 feet of road, we dug it out, down 6 feet, and put it, fabric in, stabilization fabric, and then backfilled it. so that and it looks like it's staying stable. It looks really stable now.
Stuff really works great.
So and that's what we're waiting on. We were looking to see if that actually works, or if it's still staying soft now, I don't trust it even if if it dries up and it gets stable, I still don't trust it because it may be something coming from the ground.
That was the first area that's tighter too.
Yeah. So so we're gonna have equipment up there, so I'll come up there and look at that when I get back in town and get with you guys to see what we can do, maybe get Lenny up there too and see what he's able to do to try and to mitigate some of I understand what the problem is, but we're looking at what's best for the town. We've got a couple of roads that don't even have cul-de-sacs at 115th when hopefully we can do that next year, and I've already talked to them. We're gonna get a cul-de-sac put in there. Because their road is what, Roger, they gotta drive all the way in, back all the way out, back all the way back in, and drive out again, just to plow that road, it's like an hour of time just by the time you get done horsing around with that one, and so we're trying to get to where it's a lot more efficient for the township. So it's better for all the taxpayers but I like the cul-de-sacs,
We appreciate your consideration.
So, I'll be up there. We'll
One
try to
thing
get that
too
worked
is,
out.
the ones that seem to be the hardest to plow are the ones where the school buses have the most problems too. And even for the fire equipment getting in. So,
All right,
for safety for those two
All right,
reasons too.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks for coming, folks.
Yeah, you bet, thanks.
review, discuss, act on appointment of park commission member for 7-year term. The only person I know of that wanted that was, Miss Wood. Dora.
Yep. She's expressed interest in renewing for another 7-year term. Been doing an exceptional job.
7 years.
7 years with you. Woo.
There's a lot of benefits there.
That isn't what your wife said.
Right.
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we appoint Dora Wood to another 7-year term on the Parks Commission.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to appoint Dora Wood to a full 7-year term for the park commission. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign, motion carried. Review, discuss, act on possible Fired Up Day event. So we were supposed to talk about that last night, but we didn't. I don't know, what do you guys think? You know what, I mean, we're getting hits on that website, on that Facebook page. I mean, there's a couple a day, people looking at it wanting to know when we're going to do Fired Up Day. People are kind of missing that, but we just haven't had, we've got so much going on with the fire department and everything, we just didn't have the volunteers and stuff to put a lot of stuff together, so I don't know what you guys wanted, if you guys wanted to try to get something in September, or that is worth it to the town to do that, I don't know.
What if? This is just what if we were to get out of the fire district and we had Fired Up Days after we knew that decision. Then it would really change things, because then we could really try to use it as a big fundraiser.
Sure.
So, I mean, if we did it, we have to make our decision by the September board meeting, right?
Right,
So
right.
why don't we, if we were gonna hold it at least in September.
Or October, yeah, or in the
Right.
beginning of October.
'Cause that might
for Fire
change-
Prevention Week or something.
Right, that might change how we fundraise.
Sure.
Is that
Sure.
a thought?
I mean, if you guys would be,
So it'd be in, after we make a decision what we're going to do.
If you don't think it's too late.
Oh, fall's a great time of year.
There's a lot of stuff going on in August.
Yes.
It's warm, and,
Yeah, that's true.
and
Last year was
attendance is
100
definitely,
Good for
when it's
beer
really
sales.
hot, it's not like you see the attendance there.
Tried it on the blacktop last
There certainly is a lot of effort that goes in, with the volunteers and whatnot, putting everything together. I mean,
oh, that was a lot, that's a lot of work on everybody's part that participates in it.
But if we were going to do it as a fundraiser, if any
Then do it.
decisions were made,
Okay.
you know how
Yeah.
Culvers will do a day for something, and they'll give a whole day, 10% of their gross wages or whatever to some organization. We could get somebody involved with us like that. There's all kinds of different things we could do.
Okay, let's put together, we'll move on from this, but we should probably look at next month, putting together some ideas about what we would wanna do.
Yes.
And get the fire department, so we're at the next fire department meeting, see what they would wanna do, maybe look at an October date for doing something like that.
Yes.
I think the town people loved it. I mean, they always loved the event. It got hot there a few times. It was definitely warm
It's
out
good
there.
for
but-
goose sales.
Yeah, you know, maybe it'll be snowing and we can sell snowshoes or something.
Snow cones.
But, yeah, so anyway, all right, let's do that, and then, so we'll put this back on the agenda.
Say the beginning of October. You know, you guys talk
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, and we'll figure out if, then maybe if the board has some ideas about of things to do, then that would work out really nice. All right, review, discuss, act on attendance at the invasive plant management workshop, held at the White Birch Inn in Bloomer from 9 AM to 3 PM on Thursday, July 18th. So I can't make it. If I was gonna be in town, I would, but I won't be. This is a really good, this guy, Lee Shambo, knows what he's doing. He loves poisoning plants.
Are we sending Lenny and Matt to this?
And we definitely should be sending them two definitely need to be going to it.
Okay.
And if anybody else can go to it, it is, they put you on a bus and drive around, and
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if they're gonna be doing that this year or not. This one sounded like it was gonna be more sedentary, more right at the, but they have, presentations of the, extension service, is going to be there along with, Ford Control, and they're really good. And they'll tell you what all these plants are and how they're getting, we've gotten fairly decent control of, the wild parsnip in the township. It's pretty good under control. We've got a program that we're spraying, brush. We cut the brush in the fall and they spray it. And, or we cut the brush and, yeah, and then they've been spraying it and it's not coming back, so we don't have to brush so darn much now. And then that brushing equipment is really expensive and it really breaks easily. I mean, it takes a beating. So and he's doing all of our control of all these invasives and everything. And what is it, Scott? Do you know what we've been paying for control? It's pitiful.
Very affordable.
Very affordable.
Very affordable.
I mean, it's like $400. He does the whole township for wild parsnip for $400. I wouldn't even drove from Menominee and
We
for what
can't-
he charged us.
Mark, we
I think
can't-
one day he did $180 or something.
We can't pay somebody $400 to mix the spray up, much less apply this stuff.
Yeah, it's really affordable. He's really good. It's probably something that the board, if you have a chance to go to it, it's really probably worth going. I've been to his presentation twice, to Lee's presentation twice, once actually once with another group out of Menominee that was doing it. And then this time it's going to be with UW Extension. So it's a really good program. If you can go, please do. And we'll make sure we're sending Lenny and Matt to that, so they know what's going on. And they're the ones who are gonna be, they're looking at them ditches and roads constantly.
And they're catching it too here and there. Most of
Yep.
it's good, but once in a while.
All right, review, discuss, act on the Chippewa Fire District request to combine the fire and EMS budgets into one budget. Wheaton Town Board needs to give direction to Wayne about how he can vote on this issue. So what do you guys, when you're operating a business, how do you go about doing that?
I'm not a fan of combining these budgets whatsoever.
I am not either.
Later
I'm
on.
not either.
Me either.
Make a motion. We'll tell Wayne like that.
Make the motion.
I'll make the motion that they do not combine the fire and EMS budgets.
I second it.
Motion made and seconded to recommend we do not combine the fire and EMS budgets. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Review, discuss, act on the safety training opportunity that the township has with the town of Anson and town of Lafayette through CBTC. The course will be this fall, winter, sometime this fall and winter, and several optional classes are being offered. The township has participated in this program previously. Is it time to participate again? So we got a new employee, so one of the things they do is they take one of our trucks and take it out to the skid pad out here at CBTC and put it into a slide and teach them how to
Not a
operate
bad
these big
idea.
trucks with things sliding sideways. They also do, that's the fun part of the class. The rest of it is probably way more boring, but they go through safety vests, all OSHA regulations, whatever, all the other things that they can go through. There you go, the shop safety, and, we can get fall, we probably don't need fall prevention quite as much, because we don't do a lot of that. Fire extinguishers and all that kind of stuff is probably something that, and what we'll do is we can get with Dennis Firstenow and Dave Staber, go through which ones that they want to go through, and give these to Lenny and Matt and see which ones they want, and kind of get a program together. Somewhere in $1,000 range is what it's going to end up costing.
How much?
About 800 to $1,000.
For both of them?
What's that?
Per person or for
No,
both?
for the, no, it won't be per person. That class was, I think the class was, yeah, it depends on what you're doing there. So the driving is expensive, $165 a person, but the other ones are per hour for the teacher, for the instructor in the room. So if you have 5 people, you divide it by 5 or whatever.
Right,
So,
okay.
it's not a big expense per person. I think the last time we spent, between the 3 townships, maybe we spent $1,600 or $1,800 total.
It's probably worth it.
I think so too.
It's a training program that is probably something, it is definitely something that employers and the township should be doing for the employees. And Matt being new, this is working out a really good time, actually. I think Lafayette's got a couple of new guys, so I'm sure they'll be participating. And then Dennis Personnel told me that he had some new people, so that's why he was trying to get back into it again, and it just seems to work really good. So, if you guys make a motion to get into this, I'll get with Dennis.
I'll make a motion that we act on this safety training opportunity for the township of Wheaton through CVTC.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to proceed with the safety training opportunity with Anson and Lafayette through CBTC. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Potential agenda items, we got a few here. When Alice always is nice enough to write them down and remind me.
I gotta, in fact, I'm gonna remind you what you gotta do in a week. You gotta go to Doug Clary.
Yep.
And you gotta go talk to these people on
Yep.
67.
You send that to
You're
me,
gonna get
too.
that email.
Good. That's what I need.
Oh, motion to adjourn?
If you don't have any other items?
No items?
Not at this point. There might be something that comes
Yeah,
up.
no, that's fine.
Email him.
Next meeting, Tuesday, August 13th.
Sounds wonderful.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
Love it.